What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so the FBI, Kash Patel, not playing around. The DOJ, Pam Bondi, not playing around. Pete Hegseth is not playing around. Of course, they did get caught flat-footed. As a matter of fact, I am more than willing to admit that Mike Walls made one of the biggest blunders that the Trump administration has made so far, which is, adding, what was his name, Jeffrey Goldblum to the Signal chat and, releasing, if you will, some should have been classified information. Now, I will admit, that should have been classified, but it wasn't classified. They say it's not classified. It should have been, but I get why it wasn't, because it did affirm that we were striking targets in Yemen and when we were striking those targets. But, there was a big part of that information left out. Where? So, that kind of makes it ride the line, if you will. Where were they striking targets in Yemen specifically? Like, we have no idea. They did say when. They didn't really say how, what they were striking with. There was a lot of information left out. So, they still, in my opinion, they can't get away with saying that wasn't classified information. It rides the line, if you will. Like, it should have been, honestly. It really should have been. Mike Walls should have been fired. I still hold that opinion. It was a blunder. It was a mistake. And, you get zero tolerance when it comes to national security with mistakes like that, right? Like, a lot of people well, it's just a small mistake, The information wasn't, super classified type of stuff, right? Like, sure, I get it. I understand. But, you don't want to look like a partisan hack, do you? Let's all admit that was a big mistake. Mike Walls should be fired. As a matter of fact, because when it comes to national intelligence security, air raid strikes, stuff like that, that information should not leak at all. Timing, any of it. Nothing. Not even if you're going to strike somebody. That should not leak whatsoever. And the fact that it did leak, that's a definite strike on Mike Walls, if you will. And I think he should be fired because, like I said, zero tolerance when it comes to things like that. You can't go around making simple mistakes like that. They just can't be tolerated. They shouldn't be tolerated. Look, I get it. That's what Trump decided to do, and I disagree with that. I don't think Trump should have kept that guy on. I think Mike Walls should have been gone. I think everybody involved in that should have been investigated, right? It wasn't Pete Hegseth's fault, but it ultimately falls upon him. I don't think Pete Hegseth should have been fired, but Mike Walls definitely, because he is the one that did it. And I'm all about accountability here, folks. I'm all about accountability. And I know ish rolls uphill a lot of times. It doesn't really in government. It should. But if you want to go that far, then ultimately it falls on Trump. You can't fire Trump. Well, you can, but he has to actually break the law for you to be able to fire him, if you will. So, it is what it is. Mike Walls should have been fired, and I don't know why I got into a whole 2-minute harping on that, but let's get into the news, folks. Because the FBI is the latest agency to deploy polygraph testing in leak investigations. This is good. I was wondering when they were going to announce this. We've been having so many leaks here recently. And this is something that is much, much deeper that is going on in our federal government. You got a bunch of Biden holdovers, Democrats, if you will. These are the people that are leaking the information. Somebody close or aligned with President Trump's agenda is not going to leak sensitive information like this. So this has to be opposition personnel, Biden holdovers, Obama holdovers, whatever it may be. These are Democrats, Democratic-leaning people that are intentionally leaking this information because, one, they think they can get away with it, and two, because they want to damage the reputation of anybody and everybody aligned with Donald Trump. That's what this is all about. These people know better. I imagine some of these people that leaked this information have spoken upon the condition of anonymity sometimes about sensitive information. I imagine some of these very people have said before, watch who you talk to, Watch who you're texting. Blah, 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 blah. You get it. But let's get into this. Trump administration officials are threatening polygraph tests on staffers to cut down on leakers who paint an unfavorable image of the White House. Is that how you chose to frame this, corporate press? Unfavorable? They just want to paint the White House as unfavorable? No. I'm sorry. They want to damage the reputation beyond repair of the White House. That's what they are trying to do. And in doing so, they are risking the lives of American citizens in doing so. This should be a highly criminal offense. I know it is. And I said should be. But it is. And these people need to be caught. Because this can't be tolerated. Like I said before, if Mike Walls should be fired, these people should be criminally prosecuted and given the maximum sentence. Outright trying to paint in an unfavorable light. Sorry. Most recently, the FBI began using the tool, according to comments first reported by the Washington Post and confirmed by the Washington Examiner. We can confirm the FBI has begun administering polygraph tests to identify the source of information leaks within the Bureau, the statement said. This is great, y'all. This really is. And, they're not foolproof. Polygraph tests are not foolproof outright, but you get the polygraph test. It can point you in the right direction. That's for sure. And then we can investigate. These people need to be found, and they need to be held to account. Outright, y'all. This is insanity. You're willing to operate in a subterfuge type of manner just to paint the administration in a bad light. I'm sorry. You need to be thrown in jail. Other members of President Donald Trump's cabinet, including Homeland Security Director Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Attorney General Pam Bondi have also discussed and deployed polygraph testing to root out leakers in their departments. The seriousness of the specific leaks in question precipitated the polygraphs, as they involve potential damage to security protocols at the Bureau, an FBI spokesperson told the Washington Post. That is right. They can also completely wreck investigations, anything that has been going on for years. They can completely dismantle these investigations just with a simple leak. And then, hardened criminals might get away because of it. That's insane, y'all. And these people are willing to do this just to make Donald Trump look bad. It's insane. One former FBI field office head said the move put morale in the toilet. That's what you decided to report on, corporate press? Oh, because people, their morale is in the toilet. People are feeling bad. They got their emotions in a wad. Oh, come on. Get off of yourselves, people. These people are insane. This is all opinion, by the way. People are trying to keep their heads down, they said. Yeah, of course. The people that are guilty, taking up for criminals is something Democrats seem to love to do. Over at Noam's DHS, the agency changed how it was polygraphing employees in March, per NBC. While it has long carried out lie detector tests, the DHS began adding specific questions about leaking classified documents or sensitive law enforcement information on federal immigration enforcement operations. The news came after the DHS and Trump border czar Tom Homan expressed frustration that multiple media leaks had put the administration's attempts to arrest gang members in the country illegally in jeopardy. Yeah, that's what that does, by the way. The leaks put federal immigration enforcement officials, law enforcement, and community members at risk as Immigration and Customs Enforcement attempted to carry out operations, Homan worried. Yes, this was done intentionally just to destroy those operations, as a matter of fact, because these people, for some reason, think, and I would love to get your opinions down in the comments section, these people think, though, that because you come into the country illegally, that for some reason, you deserve to go to trial. For what? What do these people need to go to trial for? Seriously. All these criminal aliens, the Maryland man and all these other people that are getting deported, and Democrats are constantly screaming about due process. What is that due process, by the way? What are they arguing in court? Exactly. What are they arguing? I would love for any of these people to tell me this. Somebody please tell me. What are they arguing for? What is their trial about? Are they pleading for their innocence? Are they trying to say they're American citizens? Because that could be easily proven. All you need is a CIS agent to interview somebody. That's it. If you can't prove you're an American citizen, you get deported in expeditious fashion, as a matter of fact. Real quick like. So what do you need? Due process. By the way, that is the due process. Prove you're an American citizen. That's it. You don't need a trial. You don't need to go to court. I don't know why Democrats think that because you come into the country illegally, undetected in some cases, that you deserve to go to court. Court for what? Do we really need to be tying up our court system with questions of, are you an American citizen or not? That makes absolutely no sense, folks. These people are insane. They really are. The Department of Homeland Security is a national security agency. Duh. We can, should, and will polygraph personnel, the DHS said. NOAA has vowed to prosecute individuals accused of leaking. Yes, as you should. To the fullest extent, by the way. In March, she said the agency had identified 2 leakers who have been telling individuals about our operations and putting law enforcement lives in jeopardy. Yeah, that's something else. You put the people's lives at risk when you leak classified information like that. We plan to prosecute these 2 individuals and hold them accountable for what they've done, she announced in a post to X. Under Hegseth's leadership at the Department of Defense, the agency has whipped out lie detector tests for damage control due to scandals that have ripped the department, including a stunning national security blunder on Signal involving top Trump administration officials. That's fascinating. They whipped out the lie detector tests, huh? Dude, damage control. Is that so? Is it damage control? Really? That's the narrative the corporate press is going with, is they whipped out the lie detector test because it's damage control. Or did somebody leak information? You see how they did that, though? What they did right there is they connected 2 separate situations, 2 separate incidents. Signalgate and then classified information leaks. Those are 2 totally separate situations right there. Completely different incidents. But what the corporate press does is because they want to lie to you and make you think that because of Signalgate, they're whipping out lie detector tests. Like, for what? We know that was Mike Walls. We know where that information got leaked to. As a matter of fact, that's how we know it was classified information that was leaked, is because the guy that it was leaked to published that information. Why do we need a lie detector test for that? But once again, folks, the corporate press, they're trying to manipulate your brain patterns to make you think something when it's really not. It's something totally different. The Pentagon also reportedly used the method to root out opposition following a leak that killed an allegedly planned classified briefing on China that Hegseth arranged for Elon Musk. Wonder why? Why is Elon Musk getting any classified briefings? For crying out loud. He doesn't need to know any of that. Joe Casper, the DoD's chief of staff, issued a memo in March about the recent unauthorized disclosures of national security information involving sensitive communications with principals within the office of the Secretary of Defense, demand immediate and thorough investigation. The use of polygraphs in the execution of this investigation will be in accordance with applicable law and policy, he wrote. As it used polygraph tests in its investigation of department leaks, the inquiry led to the recent firings of 3 Pentagon officials, 2 of whom were leading advisors to Hegseth. Why does that matter? Like, I know, understand. But the corporate press, they harped on this. Oh, Hegseth's firing his own guys that he hired. So what? They leaked information. You get fired. Bye-bye. You mean Hegseth, do you think that they're going to hire all good people? You think people can't deceive somebody to get a position? Just saying. At the time the leaks occurred, Hegseth reportedly threatened to hook Admiral Christopher Grady, then acting chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, up to a effing polygraph. Grady did not take a polygraph, by the way. Yeah, he didn't, as a matter of fact. But once again, that was also just reported. We don't know if that actually happened. But once again, yeah, it sounds like something he would say. Hook him up to an effing polygraph. What's wrong with that, by the way? Yeah, if the guy leaked information, he should be willing to take a polygraph, for crying out loud. That shouldn't be a scandal. Hegseth demanded proof that Grady hadn't leaked news of the March 2021 briefing, the report said, noting Grady was never subjected to a polygraph, and Hegseth would go on to accuse several other people for the leak, including Lieutenant General Doug Sims, the Joint Staff Director, who Hegseth also threatened with a polygraph test. Last week, Bondi bolstered attempts to hold leakers to the fire when she issued updated guidelines that broadened the scope of prosecutable offenses to include privileged or sensitive information designed to sow chaos and distrust in the government, not just classified data. So, I love how the corporate press manipulate everything. That wasn't a statement from somebody. That was a statement from the corporate press themselves. So they are saying that investigating people that leak classified information by threatening to polygraph people is sowing chaos in the department. That's what they are telling you. Once again, Democrats siding with criminals, because that is a criminal offense. That is a federal offense, a felony, as a matter of fact, that can land you decades in prison. Decades in prison, yes. As a matter of fact, decades in prison. Can, possibly. And they are trying to drum this up as, oh, the leader who is trying to investigate classified information leaks is sowing chaos by investigating said classified information leaks. This is what our corporate news has come to these days, folks. Trying to manipulate reality to bend to their will. And people think MAGA is a cult. Laughable, folks. Outright laughable. Yeah, I'm looking at you, by the way. You know who you are. The era of anonymous leaks and shielded sources protecting anti-Trump operatives is over, Department of Justice Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said Saturday. This DOJ is done looking the other way. We will hold leakers whenever they are fully accountable. No more safe havens in federal agencies. Good for them. Good for them. Go after these people. Hold their feet to the fire. Nail them son of a bitches to the wall. That's what I say. Pardon my language. But nail them bastards to the freaking wall. That's what I say. These people are intentionally leaking classified information, putting people's lives in jeopardy, all to make Donald Trump look bad. But once again, folks, this is par for the course for Democrats. They incite violence on a daily basis. We've just had J.B. Pritzker call for riots, for crying out loud. He didn't specifically say that, but considering how the far left protests these days, looking at, pretty much what's going on with Tesla, all the Tesla protests, the Summer of Love, pretty much all the protests the left always put on, they always end in violence, or some sort of violence happens constantly. You cannot say the same thing about the right. Does the right have violence? Sure. The far right, yeah, they get violent sometimes, but not nearly to the extent that the left does. This is all provable. All of it's easily provable, as a matter of fact. So when Democrat politicians say that this Republican administration should not see a single second of peace, what does that tell the far left? Tells them, that gives them the green light to go riot, as a matter of fact. Once again, folks, for proof, look at Tesla. Elon Musk is trying to help the government to cut costs. And what does the far left do? Go after his personal company and go after individuals that committed the grave sin of buying an electric vehicle. Going after those people, individuals, vandalizing, terrorizing these people. It's insane what our country has come to, folks. And I don't know how we get out of here. Like, where's the off-ramp? Seriously. How do we get out of this? How do these people's minds just change? They just decide one day, well, we're not going to vandalize Tesla anymore. Do you think that's going to happen? These people are nut jobs. And they masquerade as normal people. These are the same people that will call you a cultist. Yep. They are all blatantly insane, if you ask me. They choose to believe a fake narrative built upon lies, and then push that narrative over and over and over again, and is sowing chaos and division in this country. In real life, the words that are written by the corporate press is meant to divide you and I. That is what that is meant to do. And that is what it is doing. It has been doing this for years. Decades, as a matter of fact. It's been a slow build. Slowly building up. Lying more and more and more and more blatantly. To where they just make stuff up these days. They just completely make stuff up and say, oh, unnamed sources said this. How do you disprove it? Name your source. Journalistic integrity. What do you do about that, folks? Well, you got to use a little bit of logic, a little bit of critical thinking to think about these things. Does it make sense or does it not make sense? A lot of it doesn't make sense. But it is what it is. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. It blows my mind. Yep, it always blows my mind. But y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. That would be greatly appreciated. Join the channel. We've got memberships now, so that would also be great. It would keep this channel going because I can't do this without people to watch the videos, y'all. Really, well, I could, but, you know, it is what it is. Y'all join the channel, that would be great. I would be eternally grateful, if you will. But I've been rambling for far too long. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on here. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.